Hello and welcome everybody back to the channel. I am your host Vortex from MobileMusicPro.com, your home for mobile music production. And if you are new to the channel, what we do here is create weekly videos focused on helping people learn how to produce music. Our goal here is to get as many people producing music as possible, and the best way to learn how to make music is on your iOS device. So if you do want to help us out on our mission, make sure to smash those likes, subscribe, and share out the show. Now, in today's video, we're going to be covering the topic of automation inside of Cubasis and letting you know what it is and why it is so important. You can use automation inside of Cubasis to automate just about anything and everything, including things like volume, effects, pitch, and more. Some of the main reasons why every single top producer uses automation in their mixes can include things like adding tension and color, adding unique dynamics, or even helping to guide the listener through to the next part of the song. Now, these techniques can seem daunting at first, especially depending on how they were first explained to you. But we're here to break it all down for you with a number of different examples covering a pretty wide range of use cases. And so, with that intro aside, let's get right into showing you how to use automation inside Cubasis 3. Alright, hello and welcome everybody. We are wishing you the happiest of the happiest from Mobile Music Pro to wherever you are in the world. And as we said, we will be talking about automation today, so the schedule for this video is first we're going to demonstrate automation in a couple of the tracks that we've created, and then we're going to recreate some of those automations from scratch to show you exactly how we did that. And then finally we are going to show you some automations within some AUV3 apps as well. So let's go ahead and get started with this now. We'll throw on the headphones real quick. Now, a couple of our larger tracks are still having latency issues inside of Cubasis 3, so we will be showing you them inside of Cubasis 2, but all of the automation that we'll be showing you how to create from scratch will be within inside Cubasis 3. So we do have our project pulled up here inside of Cubasis 2, and the first thing we're going to show you how to automate is the filter. Now, the effect that is created by automating the filter is a very common one used in pretty much every type of genre that you've ever heard of. This includes both filtering the track down with a low-pass filter and then doing the opposite of filtering out the lows with a high-pass filter. And that's what we've done here. We are taking our lead guitar track here, and we're starting with the guitar filtered completely down, and then we are going to filter it up slowly to build tension and create energy to lead us into the chorus. Now, in addition to our filter, we're also automating the volume here with a fade-in effect. Now, this isn't exactly automation per se, and doesn't actually live in our automation tab over here. Rather, instead, Cubasis allows you to fade in and fade out any clip by simply adjusting the grip lines on the bottom and right-hand side. And we can demonstrate that really fast by tapping on any one of these clips here, and you can see you can adjust the grip down by pulling the volume down, and then you can create a fade-in effect by pulling the left grip to the right, or create a fade-out effect by pulling the right grip to the left. So let's reset this back now, and get back to automating our filter. So the first thing we're going to do is solo this track so you can hear what's going on. Now, in addition to listening for the guitar's volume to adjust from low to high, also pay attention to this filter. What we're going to do is show you the filter automation live as it's happening with our automation tab, as that is where all of our automation will live, and we're going to show you what it looks like on the actual filter effect. So let's get started. Now, in both Cubasis 2 and Cubasis 3, all of your automation will live inside of your automation tab. And to expose any of these automations, you simply tap the E next to them. So we'll tap the E on filter resonance, and we can also tap the E on filter frequency. And once again, this does look very similar inside of Cubasis 3, except that it does start out by having it zoomed out, where in Cubasis 2 it does start more zoomed in, but the functionality remains identical. So now let's go ahead and solo this guitar and hit play. So you can see here that we start with the volume very low, and then go up a little bit more, and we do keep this tamed throughout the build-up, and then finally we go back to full volume during the chorus. So now let's watch this again from the perspective of the actual effect. Again, this was a filter, so we'll go into our insert effects, and tap on filter. And notice how once we go back to the beginning, our filter has changed here from the right all the way over here to the left. So again, pay attention to the automation of the filter moving from left to right. And let's hit play. Okay, perfect. Now, let's just quickly hear what this sounds like in the context of the mix. And once again, the idea by automating this filter is to introduce this instrument in a very, very subtle way, so that the listener ends up being surprised when they suddenly hear this instrument be at the forefront instead of the previous instruments. So again, what I want you to do is listen for that guitar coming in, and listen to how it is tucked under everything else by lowering its frequency, and then see how it is slowly moved to the forefront of the mix via the automation of this filter. So let's go back here, go back a little bit further, and then we'll unsolo the guitar, and let's hear what this sounds like in the context of the mix. So as you can see, what we did there is slowly introduce the listener to this brand new instrument inside of this pre-chorus buildup, and then featured it as the main instrument in the chorus. And now let's take a look at a second example of automation inside of Cubasis. Here we have another one of our tracks pulled up, and again we're going to automate the filter effect. So to see our automation, we'll tap our track, and once again tap our automation tab. And here you can see two different properties that have automations set to them. And the one we're going to pay attention to is our filter cutoff. So let's tap that. Now, unlike before, instead of automating the filter built into Cubasis, what we're doing here is automating the filter on a specific AUV3 instrument. So let's take a quick look at what that synth looks like. We are using the Tal-U synth, which is a pretty good representation and recreation of the Juno synth. So now let's go ahead and pull back up our automation. And this will show us all the automation that we're using throughout the song. So as you can see here, we are starting with the filter at the very lowest, and then slowly raising that up to build up into the first verse. So let's listen to this now and watch the magic automation at work. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and listen to this in the context of the mix. Okay, perfect. And as we said, you can automate just about anything, but some of the most things that get commonly automated are things like the volume and filter. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and show you how to create this automation inside of Cubasis 3. Once again, it's about the exact same way that you create it inside of Cubasis 2. Both Cubasis 2 and 3 allow you to create automation in a couple of different ways, and we're going to show you how to do both of those right now. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first way that Cubasis allows you to create automation is by directly manipulating the user interface. And that could be the interface for an effect, for a volume fader in your mixer, for pretty much just about anything. So the first thing that we are going to do is automate the filter on this guitar. So we'll quickly play you the loop so you can hear what it sounds like first. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and select our acoustic guitar track. We will solo that track. Let's bring up our left menu here by tapping on the arrow at the top left-hand side. And we'll go to our Insert Effects as we are going to add an effect here. So we'll tap to add effect and go down to our internal effects here, and we will tap on Filter. And by default, we have our filter set all the way to the left, which is pretty much fully engaged. And also by default, we are in low pass filter mode, which you can change here with this fader on the far right-hand side of the screen. We can change this up to high pass or back to low pass. And we will leave it at low pass for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag the filter now all the way to the left, or at least pretty much into the center, so that we can be affecting the sound. So let's hear what that sounds like now. Okay, now we have that sound filtered down. Now let's go ahead and automate filtering this back in. So to do any type of automation inside of Cubasis 3, we have to focus on the far right-hand side of the screen here, where we see our R and W buttons, which stands for read and write. Anytime you do want to create some automation, you will have to make sure that both of these are engaged. And you can do that simply by tapping on them. And you can disengage them by tapping on them once more. So let's keep them engaged for now. We'll go back to the beginning of the song, and let's create an automation by tapping on play. Alright, we have now just created an automation. So first we'll hear what that sounds like, and then we'll go back and check out where we can find that automation. So we'll go back to the beginning of the song and hit play. Okay, that worked perfectly. Now if you'd like to play this back and make sure that you don't create any new automations, make sure to untap that right button. This will ensure that the automation only gets read instead of being able to create new automations. Now while this right button is disengaged, no matter how much we affect the filter, it won't save it when we hit play. So for example, we can drag this filter all the way to the left here, but notice that it will go back in place once we go back to the beginning of the song. And as you can see, as I'm moving forward through the song, it is changing. That filter is changing. And as we move back, the filter is changing back. Once again, no matter how much I affect it over here, as soon as we start moving, it'll put it right back to where it was. So that was the first way of creating automation, by directly manipulating the user interface and tapping on these read and write buttons. Now before we show you the second, much more manual way of creating automation, let's show you the two different ways that you can go and view the automation that we just created. So the first way is going back to our read and write buttons. To the right of those, you will find the automation button. So all we have to do is tap that once, and that will bring us into our automation dropdown. Here we can see the different automations that we created. Because we used that filter plugin, it actually ended up creating a frequency automation and resonance automation. And we can see what those look like by tapping on them. So here's the frequency, and here's the resonance. As you can see, the resonance is slowly going down from the top, and the frequency is slowly going up. Now let's close this real quick and show you the second way to access your automations. And that is in the tab on the far left-hand corner. We simply tap the automation tab, and once again here we can see the different automations that we created inside of Cubasis. Here we see both the frequency and resonance automations. And to modify or view those, we can simply tap the E. And here we are right back again inside of our automations, being able to see both the frequency and resonance. Now before we create another automation again, let's go ahead and clear what we have so far. So to do that, we simply click on Clear. As you can see, that did remove the resonance automation. And now to remove the frequency, we'll make sure to tap that so that it is selected. And once again, we'll tap Clear. And now we have removed the last automation that exists within this track. Now let's just scroll down a little bit so we can see our track here. You definitely have to make sure that you are on the right track before creating your automations. So we'll tap on our acoustic guitar and tap on Open Editor. And here we are within track 6. Now for this automation, we're going to do a pan automation. So let's tap on Pan. And we'll tap on our Draw button and begin drawing in our automation. So the first thing we'll do is draw right in the center here. This will ensure that we do start out in the center instead of all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And then we'll tap once more on the place that we'd like to begin the automation. And now this third tap will determine whether we pan to the left or to the right. So let's pan to the left and tap over here. As you can see in the far right hand side, we have an indicator here letting us know that we have panned 25% to the left. If we were to unselect draw and move our point down to the bottom, you can see that the indicator changes here on the right and it now says 9% to the right. But let's keep this going to the left for now, so we'll tap on it and drag this back up. And we'll drag it all the way to the top so we can really hear that effect. And in fact, let's make this a little bit more dramatic by dragging this a little bit more to the right, giving us a little bit more time for the overall panning automation. So we'll drag this to the right. A little bit more. There we go. And now the effect won't appear so instantly. It will actually take more time to complete the automation, effectively making that panning come in much slower. So let's hit play. Alright, if you are using headphones, you can tell that that has panned to the left. Now once again, you can add automation to just about anything, but the most common elements that are automated are things like the filter, EQ, and volume. And as we said, you really can automate just about anything, so let's show you how to automate a couple more things right now. We have a brand new project pulled up inside of Cubasis 3, a fresh new project, and we're going to tap on Add, and then tap on MIDI. So we can add a new MIDI track, and let's select our instrument. And let's choose a synthesizer here, so we'll choose the built-in micro loop inside of Cubasis 3. And you can choose any preset here. Let's go ahead and choose the Bode Synth. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's turn it up a little bit here. Go to our mixer, turn this up a bit. Alright, perfect, that sounds pretty good. Now let's pull up our synthesizer by tapping on the instrument here, and we'll close out of our list browser by tapping on list browse. So let's stretch this out to 4 bars here, and just record something simple here. And let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we pay attention here to our read and write buttons, because we are going to create a new automation. So let's tap on read and write, and let's adjust our volume noise. So we'll go back and let's hit play. Alright, now we have our volume noise going. Let's automate something else. How about the filter? Let's tap on the filter section here and go back. Alright, perfect, and that's really how easy it is to create automation. In fact, let's create one more here. We'll go to the Insert Effects, and let's create an EQ. We'll pull up our EQ by tapping on Studio EQ. Let's close out of our synth here. Once again, we'll arm our automation by tapping on Read and Write. Let's go back to the beginning of the song, and let's simulate a filter. And just like that, we created yet another automation. So as you can see, folks, it really isn't that difficult to begin adding automations into your projects and your mixes. Simple things like sound selection and adding additional automation are really what separate amateur productions from the pros. It's really just a million little things all added up together. Each one of those things maybe not making such a difference by themselves, but again, when combined together, you really have an overall different, entirely different production. Alright, welcome back everybody. We just wanted to thank you again for watching the video this far. And we do hope that the explanations in this video were clear enough to help you start using automation inside your mixes. The results can become truly unique when you start to combine all of these different automations in your own unique way. And even though we did show you all these examples inside Cubasis 3, just about every single DAW on iOS does come with the ability to create these similar types of automations, though some are a little bit easier than others. As always, it does come down to personal preference and workflow, as that is what will determine how you process your tracks in the end. And just a reminder once again, guys, about our upcoming 2-hour live stream special to celebrate our 1-year anniversary coming up here on November 4th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You won't want to miss it because we are going to be giving away a bunch of copies of Cubasis 3 and launching our very first sample pack right here on the channel that will be available 100% completely free. So if you do want to keep up with what's going on here at Mobile Music Pro, make sure to sign up for our free mailing list at mobilemusicpro.com, and of course, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And of course, if you are enjoying this content, make sure to give us a big thumbs up and leave us a comment. We do always enjoy interacting with all of you guys across all of our social media, forums, and more. And so, until next time everybody, keep talking music, and we'll see you later. Some of the top reasons why just about every single the results can become truly unique when you start combining all of these different and even though we did use all of these examples within I'm going to get this. I always get this. Let's go.